Hi, Mark, and welcome to the current report on Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has described the upcoming NATO summit in Vilnius in Lithuania as crucial for the future security of Europe. 1 week to go until a key moment for our common security in Europe is what he said in his daily video address on Wednesday. For months, Kiev has been pushing for the military alliance to take in the country attacked by Russia. We are working together with our partners as much as possible so that our common security wins in Vilnius, said Zelenskyy. But it all depends on the partners, he said, with a view to his country's inclusion in the alliance. Only on Tuesday did Zelenskyy call NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg again, whose term of office had just been extended to autumn next year. At least in part, concessions are being signaled to Kiev. Ahead of next week's NATO summit, the chairman of the German Bundestag's Foreign Affairs Committee, Michael Roth, is calling for the contractual basis for Ukraine's NATO membership to be expanded somewhat further. That means I wouldn't make a perfect peace a condition of admission, is what the Social Democrat told a German newspaper. Roth suggested saying something like, those parts of Ukraine that are under the reliable control of the democratic Kiev government should belong to NATO territory as soon as possible. The duty of assistance under Article 5 then also applies to them, he said. And this duty of assistance would not yet apply to the other areas of Ukraine, but Ukraine would be included as a whole country. One must somehow get out of the terrible dilemma of possibly having to postpone NATO membership until the end of the day, said Roth. And meanwhile, the situation about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in southern Ukraine, which is occupied by Russian forces, continues to cause concern. Both warring parties accuse each other of planned attacks on the nuclear facility. And a day later, Moscow replied to allegations from Kiev on Tuesday that the Russians had planted explosive devices on the roofs of reactor blocks. The danger of sabotage by Kiev regime is great, which can have catastrophic consequences. That was said by Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, according to the Russian news agency Interfax. In view of allegations of possible attacks or acts of sabotage at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the head of the Ukrainian nuclear company Energoatom believes that a nuclear catastrophe is currently ruled out, but not a smaller nuclear incident. If explosive devices are detonated at the facility in southern Ukraine, we would not initially have to reckon with a nuclear disaster, but with a technical disaster, is what Petro Kotin told the newspapers of the German Funke media group. Kotin said the Russians would not be able to cause a major nuclear disaster without restarting the plant. All 6 reactors have been shut down since last September. And at the same time, Kotin warned of the consequences of detonating fuel elements that were temporarily stored in the plant. That would lead to radioactive contamination, he said. Since the plant has not been in operation since September, the radiation from the fuel is no longer as strong, and therefore no evacuation measures are currently necessary. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, is demanding extended access from the Russian occupying forces for its observers stationed in Zaporizhzhia. In the past few days and weeks, the IAEA experts have inspected parts of the plant, including sections of the large cooling basin, and also made regular tours of the nuclear power plant, as the IAEA announced on Wednesday. So far, no visible evidence of mines or explosives has been found. That was at least said by the director Rafael Grossi. The experts have now requested additional access to check whether anything has changed. In particular, access to the roofs of reactor units 3 and 4, as well as parts of the turbine halls and some parts of the plant's cooling system, is crucial, in the opinion of Grossi. And this war, which Putin still calls a special military operation, but it is a war of aggression of Russia against Ukraine, does continue. And if you want to know more information, the next video is right here on the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.